I'm Netia Jones. I'm directing and designing and doing the video for Macbeth. Macbeth is an extraordinary opera to be working on. It is perennial. It never ever really gets irrelevant. There are so many themes to grapple with, and for me it was important that it feels contemporary but also very authentic. So it really is true to the Shakespeare and to the Verdi, but has a modern feeling. This production is conceived to take place in a single environment, but it's an environment that's constantly changing, and it changes all the time with projection. So we're leaning heavily into a very dynamic aesthetic, and projection can do many things. It can change the atmosphere very suddenly, it can suggest things, it can create location. And so we're not very specifically setting this Macbeth in Scotland per se. We are perhaps any time, any place, but the themes are global, and so they really speak to everyone. For Verdi, Macbeth, the opera, was really about three characters: Macbeth, Lady Macbeth, and the chorus of witches. And so that is an idea that I've leaned heavily into, and I've really explored what that might mean to us today. What does this idea of witch mean, and what does Verdi's idea of these three characters really mean? And essentially for us, we have extraordinary performers. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with these superstars of the stage, and the music really does the work here. It's mind-blowing and exhilarating and extraordinary, and it's very difficult not to be carried along with the waves of excitement that Verdi creates.
Kia ora, my name's Jacqueline Coates, and I am the assistant director for this production of Verdi's Macbeth. I'm so excited to be working on this production because it's got such a fantastically big chorus in it. It's wonderful to be coming back to the stage and having an opportunity to work with so many people in the room together and put them on the stage.
Hi, my name's Brad Cohen, and I am conducting Macbeth for New Zealand Opera. It's a bit weird for me because I've actually conducted this opera before in this city, and it's the last opera that I conducted for New Zealand Opera 24 years ago. Not only was it Verdi's Macbeth, but it was the same version of Verdi's Macbeth, which is the 1865 version that he wrote for Paris. So when I got the call to ask me whether I would conduct Macbeth for New Zealand Opera, it was a weird, very, very weird sense of déjà vu. I've done it 2 times in the intervening years as well, so this is my 4th Macbeth production now. The intervening 2 were the other version, the earlier version, the 1847 version. So I'm well versed in Macbeth at this point in my life. I really love the piece. I loved it from the first time I came across it because I thought it was so powerful and so dark and so fresh. It doesn't fulfill a lot of the expectations around boring Italian opera. It's very condensed, it's crazily dark, and it's got fantastic music, of course, being Verdi. But so much of it is packed tightly in, it's like dark matter, this opera. It's not your light frou-frou, and it doesn't have a lot of space for things just to happen in an aimless kind of way. It's incredibly focused. So I guess my love for it and my passion for it has grown over the years. I'm always happy to be asked to conduct it. And I see more in it now, obviously, maybe because I've done it more times, maybe because I'm just older. And I have a wider framework to view it within, I think. I've done much more Verdi since I was, 24 years ago. So I have a much better standard of comparison for how it fits within Verdi's output. But for me, it's still right up there, particularly in terms of the early operas. There's Nabucco and Macbeth for me. They're the 2 really great early Verdi operas. Before he got to Rigoletto and Traviata and Trovatore, those 2 really stand out like peaks in a mountain range. They're a different standard of execution and a different scale of power. In terms of what the audience can expect musically, there are the normal kind of building blocks of Italian opera. That is, there are really big choruses because Macbeth is famous for being a very big chorus piece. It takes a lot of preparation and rehearsal, but also when the chorus appear, they're really core to the action, they're not ancillary. In fact, Verdi said there are only 3 characters in this opera: Macbeth, Lady Macbeth, and the witches. And the witches are not just 3 characters as in Shakespeare, they're sung by the whole female chorus. So you get amazingly powerful choruses and quite extended choruses with lots of different colours and inflections. In fact, every time the chorus comes on, they're a different character. So they might be Scottish refugees, or they might be witches, they might be soldiers. So it gives them a fantastic opportunity to show lots of different colours and lots of different inflections in the music that they make. And then we have the classic elements of Italian opera, which are arias, slow arias called cavatinas, and fast arias called caballettas. If you've got a cavatina and a cabaletta, that makes you a principal artist. If you've only got a cavatina but not a cabaletta, that makes you what they call a comprimario, which is a secondary role. What's unusual about Macbeth the opera is that it's not tenor-based, and Verdi was very insistent about that from the start. He was very keen that he wouldn't write a Macbeth that had Macbeth as a tenor. He would only write it and make Macbeth a baritone. So compared to 24 years ago, it's a much more New Zealand-focused cast this time, which is something that I'm really delighted about. Some of them I know already. I worked with Wade Kono, who's singing Banquo, many times when he and his wife, Emma, lived in Perth. And I worked with them both a lot when I was Artistic Director of West Australian Opera. So I think Wade and I have already done 6 shows together. It was fantastic to know that he would be singing this role. And actually I think when he auditioned for me, when I didn't know him in Perth and he auditioned for me, he sang Banquo's aria. That was his first thing. And that got him loads of work in Western Australia. So that worked out well. So I'm very happy he's doing that role. Lady Macbeth, Amanda Edgelaz, is South African living in the States. Philip Rhodes, Morag, Wade, and all of the smaller roles are New Zealanders. And for me, that really is important, that the National Opera Company is supporting and giving a future for longer-term career development for New Zealand artists. So I'm delighted to be a part of that.